Well, good afternoon everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lee, your virtual airline pilot, back with you again with the second of this week's reviews. We're still in Africa, and today we're looking at Roberts International Airport in the state of Liberia. Golf Lima Romeo Bravo. This is a payware scenery by AFRICA4FS, and you're looking at the current version 1.3 for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. There is a version available for Flight Sim 2024 as well. The download comes in at 577 meg and it installs at 853 meg, so it's not huge, but it's fairly reasonable. It's available currently from Sim Market and it's priced at €13.19, which equates to roughly $14.35 US or £11.11 UK. The US and UK prices are estimates taken from the euro, and they include VAT or tax at 20%, which of course could vary depending on which country you're in when you make your purchase. Now today, the date of this video is 26th of March 2025. This product is currently on sale until tomorrow, the 27th of March, and at the moment you can get it for €7.91. So that's a €6 saving on this product. It equates to roughly $8.60 or £6.66. So something like a €6 savings if you're able to buy this before tomorrow. So for those of you who are interested, here's a close-up look at the PMDG Boeing 737 blended wing in one of the liveries here. This is the ASKY 737-800. It's painted by a professional painter who exists on Flightsim.To. He's listed as ALXCPT. You can't see a name as such, but that's who he is. I'll put details up for you, and I'll also put the link to this model in the description below. You get 7 liveries. They all come with a cabin, which we've had a look at during the or we will have a look at during the JETWAY test, but I'll show you here. But you get all 7 liveries of the current versions of this aircraft, and the detail is pretty amazing what he's done. Here's just an example of the detail on this model. It's painting here. I mean, look, you've got all of the decals on the door right up to the detail here, which is really impressive. And here you've got the 2 overwing exits. Again, you've got detail right up there. And here's a real close-up, and you can see inside the cabin you've got partially closed blinds here, but look at the detail on the exit doors. I mean, this is the mark of a really good creator. And just another view outside. Again, the detail on the engines here and the cargo doors. It's just really quite impressive. So here's a quick look inside the cabin. As you can see, wonderful cabin model done here. All of the details. You've even got stuff in the racks here too. And here you've got business class, or first class. I think it's business class seating here in the front here, which is pretty good. And here you've got the forward aisle area where this is the L1 door. Passengers come in, and again you've got nice detail here. And they're looking at the other door on the starboard side. A quick look at the first class seating from this area, this angle. Once again, you can see the carpet's been done really nicely as well. And finally, the rear galley, which you can see also has been done in really good detail. You've got the 2 toilets on the left and right. So here's the left side of the rear galley. And here's the right side of the rear galley. Very impressive. So all in all, it's a pretty stunning model, as I'm sure you can see. So once again, this is the ASKY livery for the Boeing 737-800 blended wing PMDG. 7 liveries included in the download, and it's freeware by a professional creator who you can get this on Flightsim.To, and he goes by the title of ALXCPT. Again, I'll put the link for this aircraft paint job in the description below for you to follow. Okay, so let's look at features. Okay, features. So we have a detailed rendition of the airport, full PBR texturing on all surfaces and buildings, realistic ground clutter, and dynamic night lighting. And as I've said, and as you'll see in the JETWAY test later, this does work with GSX Pro, even though there isn't as yet an actual GSX Profile file for this airport. So okay, so now let's look at some history. Okay, history. Roberts International Airport, Golf Lima Romeo Bravo, also known as Roberts Field, is a public-use international airport in the West African nation of Liberia. Located near the town of Harbel in Margibi County, the single-runway airport is about 35 miles or 56 kilometers outside of the nation's capital, Monrovia. The airport is referred to as just Monrovia in most cases, and is named in honor of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, the first president of Liberia. The airport is the nation's busiest and most important aviation facility, currently hosting the country's only scheduled commercial airline services, with direct connections to several major cities in West Africa, as well as flights to Europe and on Brussels Airlines. The airport reportedly served 228,000 passengers annually in 2018, and recently underwent a major expansion, including the opening of a new passenger terminal. The facility, with its 11,000 foot or 3,353 meter runway, was an emergency landing site for the American Space Shuttle program, and is one of only two with paved runways in the whole country. While Monrovia's secondary airport, Spriggs Payne, is much closer to the city centre and possesses the nation's only other paved runway, it has not had scheduled commercial service since ASKY Airlines suspended operations in November 2014. In the early years, 1942, Liberia signed a defence pact with the United States. This commenced a period of strategic road building and other construction related to US military interests in checking the expansion of the Axis powers. The airport was originally built by the US government as an Air Force base, part of these activities. The runway was built long enough for the B-47 Stratojet bombers to land for refueling, giving Liberia what was for many years the longest runway in Africa. US President Franklin D. Roosevelt had lunch with President Edwin J. Barclay at Roberts Field during his visit to Liberia in January 1943. The story of Roberts Field is consistently intertwined with the history of Pan American World Airways. In fact, from the end of World War II until 1985, the airport was administered and operated by Pan American under contract with the Republic of Liberia's Ministry of Transport. Monrovia was a key link in Pan American's African network, usually an intermediate stop between Accra and Dakar, from which service continued onward to Europe and New York. During the Second Liberian Civil War, the main terminal building suffered major damage and remains vacant and unenclosed. Currently, the terminal facilities consist of two passenger buildings, one for departures by most commercial carriers, and all arrivals. A second, Terminal B, opened in March 2012. Royal Air Maroc started flights to Mohammed V International Airport in Casablanca in November 2007. And what used to be Virgin Nigeria added Monrovia to its network from Lagos via Accra twice a week in October 2008. In 2014, Delta Airlines, who had been operating into the airport since 2010, announced a cessation of their services into Monrovia. Several other airlines also suspended services as the Ebola virus outbreak continued to gather pace. However, later, both Kenya Airways and Air Côte d'Ivoire resumed flights into the airport, with Brussels Airlines increasing its flight frequencies into Monrovia. Currently, 6 airlines still operate into Roberts, including Ethiopian Airlines, Royal Air Maroc, and Kenya Airways. So there's a bit of history for you. Let's now have a look at this runway in detail. Okay, runways. Roberts International Airport operates a single runway 0422 measuring 11,000 feet or 3,353 meters, and it's made from asphalt. The airport lies at an elevation of just 31 feet or 9.4 meters and sits within the GMT UTC time zone. Now, the state of Liberia does not observe daylight saving time or DST, and the airport's currently on the same time as the UK until the end of this month, March 2025, when we in the UK move forward onto British summertime. So runway 04, we're looking down the throat of it now, features high intensity runway lighting, precision approach Cat 1 lighting system, and precision approach path indicators on the left side. And you can also see that the approach lighting here is again as per the charts. It's quite simplified, and here's the high intensity lighting. Got PAPIs on the left, and here you can see the turning areas. It's a massive runway. Approach options for 04, you have a standard instrument landing system and an RNP approach option. So instrument approaches here are well catered for, no real problem at all there. So let's have a quick look at the other end, runway 22. Okay, so here we are looking down the throat of the other end, runway 22. Here you can see the displaced threshold, and you've got taxiways here coming up to it. You've got the high intensity runway lighting. Now, I can't see any PAPIs listed for runway 22. Let me just check this chart again. Right, so checking the RNP approach chart for runway 22, which is the only approach option. We don't have a PAPIs. I mean, obviously we've got them in the scenery, and I'm not complaining. Anything that helps you make a landing here is got to be useful. You've got this big display threshold for takeoffs, and you've got at least an RNP approach option to this runway. So in the real world, the PAPIs are not, they don't exist on the 22 end as per the charts, but we've got it here in the scenery, so no real complaints. So runway 22 then, all featured as before. No PAPIs on the left, but they're in the scenery, and you've got an RNP approach option at this end of the runway. Okay, so let's get to the jetway test now. Okay, jetways. So here we are on stand 2 or gate 2. GSX does work for those of you who use it, even though there's no specific profile. So we spawn directly on the menu from the menu, and you can see here we've got the PMDG Boeing 737 in ASKY livery, which is one of the airlines that serves this airport. You can see we're on the center line, but we're not fully at the marker. But anyhow, let's test the jetway, see how it works. So there we go, the wheels are turning, you've got the noise. The jetway's approaching the door. Looks good so far. Right, that looks to be a reasonable connection. Let's have a close-up look. Okay, so that looks quite reasonable from here. We've got the doorway, the thing right up to the doorway here. The hood doesn't appear to have gone through the skin, certainly from this side. Let's have a look at the other side. There's the view from the other side, and that looks to be pretty reasonable. So let's go inside the jetway end itself and have a look and see what room we've got. Okay, so here we are inside the jetway. As you can see, the jetway actually is right up to the doorway edge, so this is a pretty good connection. The hood goes over, not quite fully over the aircraft, but it's not really a problem. Doesn't appear to be infringing it anyway, this side. And once again, it's certainly not infringing it the other side. So let's open the door and see how the door manages it within the confines of the end of the jetway. So the door swings open, and that looks to be pretty clear to me, can't see a problem there. So let's have a look out from inside the aircraft. So there's a view looking out from the cabin. As you can see, the jetway doors are nicely modelled, but they're closed. Once again, I'm appealing to developers, please, if you're doing custom jetways, let's have the doors open when you're connected to an aircraft, and let's have them nice and closed like this when there's no aircraft connected. That would be a huge help. Once again, inside the cabin, no infringement by the jetway hood. And again, inside the flight deck, once again, no infringement by the jetway hood either. So before we go, just a quick look inside the cabin. This creator has modelled the aircraft completely inside in the cabin, all of the markings. It's a really nice model set. They come with 7 liveries. You choose any which one you want. But it's really nicely done, and once again this is for the PMDG 737-800, the blended wing version. And there we're looking to the first class there. So just a quick look from the livery outside. As you can see, this guy has done every little detail. All the little decals are where they should be. It's a really nice paint job. Okay, so let's disconnect the jetway now. Once again the hood springs back. So the wheels turn to their original position. And there you go. Okay, so that was the jetway test. As you can see, everything works, even though there's no specific GSX profile. It all seems to work. And we have a very nice selection of liveries for this particular airline that operates into this airport. Okay, so let's get down to the airport proper itself and have a good look over this payware scenery. Well, welcome back. It's just after midday here today. We're at the very southern point of the airfield. This is runway 04 in front of us, and you can see the approach lights. And you can also see that the wall, in lieu of a fence line, goes right round the airport. So the developer has done a complete job. But anyway, let's track north and have a look and see what we can find. There are various buildings and bits and pieces along the way. So here we come along to the threshold of 04. Pappy's on the left there. There's the turning circuit. This is a massive runway. There is a bit of a dip in the middle as well. So here you've got various little buildings and things which are on the airport. From what I can see from the research I've done, there's a fair reliance on photo ground, but you know, to be honest, it's not a great problem. Once again, we got some more simple block buildings that are weathered, so you know, once again it's fine. Here we got the control tower. Let's have a little look at the control tower. So that looks as though it's developed inside. Don't know if we've got any people. Let's go in and have a look. So there's a close look from the outside. And here we are inside. As you can see, it's very basic. No people. The screens are just basically white, which is perfectly okay. Given the price, really, it's perfectly as it should be. But again, it's right for development. And then looking out of the window here, we're looking at the southeast corner. You can see the other buildings that have been added. Again, fairly simplified, but they are weathered and they're reasonably detailed. So we carry on moving north. You've got more buildings. Again, these are on the field from what I can see. And you can also see that they're enclosed within the wall. You've got the landside road there to the right hand side. So there's no unauthorized access to the airfield here, which is good. Nice to have the street lamps. Be interesting to see what that looks like in the darkness hours. So a quick pass here over the airside ramp. More little buildings, a couple of hangars there all closed up. But again, they're weathered. You can see the weathering on them. Here's the main terminal. And there's the 737 parked on gate 1. And there's the main terminal. We've got a couple of engineers down there. Here's the rest of the parking. Plenty of clutter, all of it unique to the airport as well. And again, the buildings are as per what I can see in the research. Got some flags there. Taxiway Alpha, blue airfield edge lights there you can see. And again, going towards the landside fence there. And we've got this nice little sign. Oh, very nice. So let's have a look at the signage here on the taxiway. Here's the entrance to the extended threshold. And there we've got sign there, which is perfectly acceptable. Here you can see the airfield edge lights. No green centerline lights that I can see, certainly not here. And there you can kind of see the slope and the bump in the runway. Okay, so let's tour landside. So as you can see, there's a reasonable reliance on sort of photo ground there, but it's not too bad at all really. There's the landside part of the terminal, no vehicles or people. But you know, the trees and the foliage all look pretty good. And you've got this wonderful sort of river as well that's landside of the airport. And it all looks pretty nice. So there you can see the river stretches all the way. And it looks quite picturesque really in a way. I quite like this. So here you've got additional parking and structures on the other side of the runway, on the western side. Again, you've got this fence line or the wall that goes all the way around the airport, apart from the entrance there where the car's going out. Okay, so it's a couple of close-up shots of the ramp where we're parked. As you can see, we're not quite on the parking line here. Ooh, excuse me. But it's good enough. The JETWAY works, which is now disconnected. Terminal looks pretty good. And there's a view looking in the other direction, showing you the aircraft parked there. And you've got various engineers and people here on the ramp chatting away. JETWAYs look pretty good, no complaints. And here's the airside part of the terminal. You've got the airport name on the top there. So as you can see, no interior modelling in the terminal here. But you know, at the price it's being offered at, it's not really an issue for me at all really. So here's the view from the flight deck when you put up on stand 2. Now check out through the captain's window. And looking across from the first officer's side. And just a quick view from the passenger window for you. So here you've got the other part of the airport just a little bit further off. I believe this is the closed terminal, which is now unfinished, and they've used this as a parking area. This used to be the old building, I believe. And as you can see, there's a really high array of decent vehicles, airport vehicles and bits of clutter, which is perfectly acceptable. But just a quick close-up look at the flags. They're not animated and they're a bit one-dimensional, so you might not see them unless you're in this position. So there's a high-level overview shot looking north, and there we are looking towards the south. Okay, so that was a brief tour during the daytime. Let's bring up the night, the dusk hours now, and have a look at what it looks like with the lights come on. Okay, 10 to 7 in the evening. Lights came on about 3 minutes ago, and here's the situation of the main ramp at dusk. Very, very pleasant. Lots of subtle lighting. It's not overdone, which is what I like. You should be able to see your way to the ramp. Here you've got plenty of these blue airfield edge lights. that will help you find your way. You'll need your nose gear light, but once you get into this area, it's not going to look too bad at all. There's the main terminal. This is the old terminal, I believe. It's not the other one I talked about earlier. This is the old terminal. And you've got a hotel here, and there's the main road, and you've got the river behind. Very picturesque airport, really, in a way. So there we're looking towards the southwest. You've got the sun disappearing over the horizon there. There's the runway light and the additional parking area here on the west side of the airport that's lit as well. And it would appear you've got some lighting down here. We'll have a look at the tower in a minute. And looking to the north, there you've got the landside road. Again, all the lights are on, which is great. I can't see any, don't think I can see any Asobo globes, which is another good thing. It's a mark of a developer that knows what they're doing when they manage to remove the globes that are floating around all over the place. Once again, a quick look from inside the flight deck. As you can see, the lighting is quite subtle and quite acceptable. No real problems there. There we're looking across the first officer side. And there's the rest of the ramp looking through the captain's window. So a quick couple of shots close up here on the main ramp. As you can see, plenty of lighting that are given by these B lights. It all looks pretty good. Don't really see any issues at all. Got that additional hangar over there that's lit with drop lighting as well, which is good. There's the terminal, just basic lighting, but again, the little subtle drop lighting really just makes it look better than it might be. And you've got these big overhead lights providing the light where they should be. Once again, high level overhead lights lighting up the area, and a couple of engineers chatting away there. Must say, the equipment looks pretty good. It's all pretty clear. These are quite detailed, and the stairs and the various vehicles, they're not bad at all, to be honest. And once again, more vehicles, more subtle lighting, which makes the place look pretty good. As you can see here, coming up taxiway Alpha towards the threshold of 22, and there you've got the lit sign leading on to the runway itself. And there's the extended threshold, and you've got habitation in the distance there. So a quick pass over to landside. Not an awful lot to see, but again the lighting looks subtle. The street lamps work. I can see one or two Asobo globes, but not many. But the buildings are quite nicely lit. Generally they look pretty good. It's all very subtle and very pleasant. Like I said, it's not in any way. There are areas where it's a bit simple, and there are areas where it's not quite so simple, and they've done a nice little job. Here's a control tower. Let's have a look. Okay, so once again, it's all basic inside, no real lighting as such, and they're missing the red warning light on top of the tower here, which is mandatory. But then I don't think this is a Category 7 airport. It might be a Category 4. So a very quick run over this area here. You've got a couple of Asobo globes, but again the buildings are slightly parallaxed and they look good. They look really good. So just a quick look at this area on the west side of the runway. Additional parking. Once again, they've done a nice little job on the buildings. All quite simple, nothing serious, but it works. And there you can see the blue airfield edge lights that will help you find your way in through the taxiways. So that was dusk. As you can see, it's rapidly getting darker here, which is one of the features of Africa. Dusk doesn't last that long. It really does disappear pretty quickly. Let's have a look at night time now. Okay, 10 PM local time, and as you can see, night is really truly upon us. But yeah, the ramp looks pretty good. Lighting is good. It's subtle. It's not overdone. Possibly this might be a bit bright, But you know what, it's okay. And here's the other terminal. There we're looking south. That's runway 04 threshold in the distance, and the little buildings we looked at more recently. And looking to the north, and there to the west, there's the additional parking on the west side of the runway. So once again, just a couple of close-up shots on the ramp. Not an awful lot to look at, but as you can see, plenty of lighting there. Really isn't going to be a problem at all for you. And there's the additional part of the ramp on the north side. And here's the small hangar just to the south of the main ramp. And as you can see, plenty of attention's paid to the bits and pieces here on the landside area. They're all ever so nicely parallaxed, which looks pretty good. And a quick look at one of the buildings here behind the terminal landside. As you can see, they've paid some attention to these. They've not just left it to basic. They've done a nice job. Okay, so that was night time, so if I'm in the right position, we should be able to get the sun coming up behind me. Let's bring up the dawn. Okay, 7 minutes to 7 AM, and here's the airport shown from landside looking airside at dawn. As you can see, nice red glows on the buildings there. And there we are, looking across the terminal and the ramp area towards the southwest. There's the additional parking on the west side of the runway, 04 threshold in the distance. There's the control tower. And looking to the northwest there, you've got the landside area and the taxiway alpha that takes you up to the 22 threshold. And finally, looking across the ramp there, the sun coming up in the distance. Okay, so here we are, 9:30 in the morning. Time to wrap up this review and give you my thoughts. Didn't want to go mad with this because there's not an awful lot to see, but there's enough to make it worthwhile. When I first looked at this, I quite liked it, and then I began to think about the fact that this is payware, not freeware. Bearing in mind we've just looked at Muanda in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that's freeware, and that looks pretty good. I was wondering how this would shape up. To be honest, it's alright, it's not bad. At the moment it's being offered at €7.91 on a discount. I'm going to try and get this video out tonight so you guys have a chance to see it before the price changes tomorrow. But even at €13.19, or just under $15, just over 11 quid, it's not bad. The price isn't bad at all, really. You've got functioning jetways that work with GSX, even though there's no GSX profile. The buildings are all weathered. There's really nice attention to detail paid, especially during the darkness hours. The parallaxing on even some of the most insignificant little buildings is there. The setting is nice. You've got this beautiful river, and yeah, you know, it works. I think they've done enough. The price pretty much reflects what's been done, and this is a functioning airport. You can use this in the way that you would use any other fully functional airport. There's nothing really that you'd need to add to this. Certainly there are things you could add to make it much more impressive and much more visually stunning, certainly. But what you've got at the moment is enough. It's more than enough for you to enjoy this scenery. And do I think it's worth a payware price? It probably just about. €7.91 if they keep that price for a bit longer. I mean, that's a really, really good price. And it probably just about makes it as a payware scenery. Not one of the best, certainly, but the developer has done enough. Certainly they've included lots of little bits and pieces landside. You've got the western field has been done, and also the control tower and the additional buildings down near the 04 threshold. The only fault I can find with it really is they've got pappies on the left side of runway 22, which aren't there on the charts. But you know what, 22's got an OMP approach, so to hell with it. I'm really not going to complain about that. A nice little airport that just caught my attention, and I thought it would be worth a look, because you know, Africa is now beginning to get quite a handful of decent airports for you guys to explore this continent well. So there you are. That's what I think. I think it's cool. It's Roberts International Airport in the state of Liberia. Golf Lima Romeo Bravo. It's a payware scenery by AFRICA4FS. And this is version 1.3 for the PC version of Flightsim 2020. And you've got a 2024 version available that's compatible. Download comes in at 577 meg, it installs at 853 meg, and you can get it from Sim Market. Currently the more normal price, which I think it reverts to tomorrow, is €13.19, which equates to roughly $14.35 US, or £11.11 UK. As ever, US and UK prices are estimates taken from the euro, and they do include tax or VAT at 20%, which may vary depending on your country of purchase. And if I can get this out in time and you fancy getting it tonight, it's on sale until tomorrow, the 27th of March, at €7.91, which is roughly just over $8 US, or just over £6 UK. That's a €6 saving on the asking price. Don't forget to have a look at the ASKY 737-800, the PMDG repaint by the professional creator. Again, links in the description for this. You can get that on Flightsim.To. It comes with 7 different liveries. And this guy is a really professional painter. And as you've seen when we looked at the aircraft closer. So there you are, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope this hasn't been too long. But I wanted to have a look at it and just show you what's going on here. So there you are. Enjoy it. My name's Lee, your virtual airline pilot, wrapping up this review. I still hope to try and get the review of Krakow version 2 coming out this week, which is another major development. I want to see what they've done to make that the way it is. So thanks again, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend when it comes up, and I'll see you in the air sometime. Bye for now.